What up, everybody? What up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. And I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode what? Episode 116. Yes, 116. Hopefully, everybody had a beautiful Monday. It is Monday, January 26th, just after 6 o'clock. Now, tell me how it was, y'all. How was y'all weekend? Did you get a lot of ice? Was it snow? What is all happening? Did you go to work today? I went to work. Well, I worked today. I didn't go to work today, but I worked today. Work from the house. That's how you do it. But hopefully everybody had a good weekend. A lot of craziness happening like every weekend. But you know, that's why we are here. We meet every Monday through Friday, starting between 6 and 7, where we go over how many? 4 different topics. 4 different topics of some of the crazy stuff that happened today or the days in the past. Just some stuff that's recently happened that we need to review together. Like always, we got 4 topics that we need to review. And if you disagree with anything I say, please leave a message, leave a comment. Let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. I will never say that I know everything. I will never say that I know everything. I might be missing something. So tell me, let's talk about it. Remember, y'all, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. But let's have a sensational show today. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. The first topic we're going to be discussing today is something people have probably seen that happened this weekend, but we have another ICE shooting in Minneapolis. But we don't know all what happened. Just some quick thing I've heard, like he had a gun, but they took it away from him. We don't know all what happened, but let's get into a couple videos. What Trump had to say, what they had to say about this whole situation. It looks like there's going to be some court hearings. There's a lot of crazy things happening based on this shooting and the past shootings. So let's get over into it. We got a few videos to look at, like I said. But let's see what we can make of this whole situation. At the end of the day, no matter how you feel about it, a life was lost. They have to review the situation. Let's get into it, though. Let's get right into it.
The latest on Saturday's deadly shooting involving federal agents in Minneapolis. Federal and state leaders continue to offer starkly different messages on exactly what happened. Meanwhile, thousands taking part in an anti-ICE march in Minneapolis today, carrying signs showing their support for Alex Preddy. Federal agents shot and killed him while he was taking part in a demonstration yesterday. The Department of Homeland Security maintaining that he charged at agents with a gun. Witnesses continue to dispute that. The Border Patrol commander defending his troops' actions. The governor of Minnesota blaming the White House for the unrest.
The question is, what's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us, and you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation.
Let's think of what those agents were doing on that scene, making a split-second decision. You've had 24 hours to try and armchair quarterback things. That agent had a split second to make a decision.
Minnesota Timberwolves holding a moment of silence for Preddy prior to their game tonight against the Warriors.
Now, there's a lot of questions about this. So let's get over into these more videos and see what else we can find out.
Americans are skeptical that an ICE agent who shot dead a man in the U.S. city of Minneapolis was acting in self-defense. New videos show Alex Preddy had been disarmed and was facing away from the gun when he was fatally shot. U.S. correspondent Rob Scott is in Minneapolis.
Well, despite the sub-zero temperatures here in Minneapolis, thousands of people have taken to the streets, marching through the downtown area, white hot with anger, expressing their frustration not only at ICE but also at Donald Trump after the shooting death of 37-year-old Alex Preddy.
Whoa!
The incident was captured from multiple angles, but White House officials continue to insist that Alex Pretty intended to hurt the Border Patrol agents when he got into that scuffle yesterday.
You do not get to attack law enforcement officials in this country without any repercussions.
This was an incredibly split-second decision that had to be made by ICE officers confronting a very complicated, violent situation.
Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino says his men were just defending themselves when they shot the 37-year-old.
The victim are the Border Patrol agents. The suspect put himself in that situation.
Asked several times today for evidence that Alex Pretty was a threat, brandishing his weapon, which he was legally entitled to carry, at agents, as suggested by the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. He either couldn't or wouldn't give it.
We have an investigation that is going to answer those questions. How many shots were fired? Who fired shots? Where was the guns? Where were the guns located?
But with federal officials in charge of the investigation, confidence among the community here is pretty low that it'll be conducted properly.
What side do you want to be on? The side of an all-powerful federal government that can kill, injure, menace, and kidnap its citizens off the streets? Or on the side of a nurse at the VA hospital who died bearing witness to such government?
It's clear the only thing that will ease tensions here in Minneapolis is for the 3,000 ICE agents sent here by the White House to leave, and to leave immediately.
Now, it's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. I always say, at the end of the day, if you want to protest, go protest, but stay out of the way. If you see them arresting someone, you can still protest, but don't try to block them. Don't try to fight them, and call your lawyer. Call your lawyer. Now, I don't know exactly what happened. We're still trying to look at some more videos, but if he had a gun, if he was reaching for a gun, we got to find out. Let's go into this next video where they say this video shows that contradicts what they're saying. So let's get over into it.
And we are seeing mounting fallout over the latest deadly shooting by federal agents in Minneapolis. This is video of the incident that appears to contradict government statements. NBC's Alice Barr explains what we know this morning.
This morning, a growing outcry over the shooting death of 37-year-old Alex Pretty by federal law enforcement in Minneapolis, the city's second involving federal law enforcement this month. As protesters react to the multiple videos capturing the scene, the Trump administration is defending the officers. The Department of Homeland Security posting that Pretty, quote, approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun.
When they tried to get him to disengage, he became aggressive and resisted them throughout that process. These officers used their training, followed their protocols, and were in.
So it sounds like he only had one gun on him. The real question, did they take the gun away? And did they shoot him after he already had the gun taken away? Or did they, I'm assuming if they did they fear, are they trying to say that they feared that he had another gun? Did they suspect he had another gun? Let's keep going.
Fear of their lives.
The videos, shot from various angles, show federal agents shoving someone before Pretty steps in. Pretty is then pepper sprayed in the face by an officer while holding his phone and is then wrestled to the ground. DHS said he brandished a weapon, but the videos don't appear to show that. This one does show an agent appearing to remove a gun from Pretty's back waistband seconds before the shots are fired. Local officials say Pretty had a permit to carry, and groups like the Gun Owners of America are defending his right to bear arms while protesting as top Trump officials push back.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
Pretty was an ICU nurse for a Minneapolis VA.
Now, question. Is it legal? Is it legal to carry a firearm in a protest? We'll look that up in a second.
Hospital, his parents calling him kind-hearted and deeply caring.
He loved this country, but he hated what people were doing to it.
President Trump overnight calling it a dangerous situation for everyone, demanded state and local officials cooperate with the administration's deportation efforts as those officials call on ICE to leave the state. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
It's a crazy situation, no matter how you look at it. Let's keep going. Let's see what else we can find out. Well,
regarding Minnesota, on Saturday, the Department of Homeland Security posted that Pretty looks like he wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement. Stephen Miller on Saturday posted that called Preddy a would-be assassin. Why did administration officials jump to conclusions before an investigation had even been conducted?
Well, look, this has obviously been a very fluid and fast-moving situation throughout the weekend. As for President Trump, whom I speak for, he has said that he wants to let the investigation continue and let the facts lead in this case.
With regards to the deployment of Tom Homan to Minneapolis, should the deployment of Mr. Homan to Minneapolis be seen as a sign that the president is dissatisfied with how the officials on the ground had handled the incident?
No, Mr. Homan is doing an exceptional job, and he has been working with Secretary Noem and President Trump over the course of the last year. Secretary Noem still has the utmost confidence and trust of the President of the United States, and she's continuing to oversee the entire Department of Homeland Security and all of the immigration enforcement that's taking place across the whole entire country. Of course, Secretary Noem is also in charge of FEMA, and we are in the wake of a brutal winter storm where hundreds of thousands of Americans have been impacted by that. So Border Czar Homan is in a unique position to drop everything and go to Minnesota to continue having these productive conversations with state and local officials. And I know that he's catching a plane in just a few hours to do just that at the request of the president. Jennifer.
On Saturday's shooting, has the president been briefed, and have you been briefed on specific details of the shooting? How many shots were fired? How many guns discharged? And I mean, did the protesters' gun go off, or only the officers' guns? Do you have any of those details?
Again, the investigation is continuing, Jennifer, and we will let the facts lead, and we will let the facts play out in this investigation. I do know that HSI and FBI are conducting interviews with those that were involved and the agents who were involved in this unfortunate tragedy on Saturday.
Are they keeping the president up to date on all those details?
The president is obviously very much on the ball with respect to this investigation. I think he's made that quite clear with the various statements that you've seen him put out, and also the 4 points that the president has outlined as well to Governor Walz, and to encourage him to cooperate.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we got to let investigations come out. Some people are saying that he brandished his weapon. Some people are saying he didn't. But the question is, if the investigation comes out, are people going to believe what comes out in the investigation? But in general, people are still upset with how ICE is handling Minneapolis. So let's go over into this next video where they talk about court hearings.
Minnesota state and local officials are going to try to argue in court that the federal deployment of immigration agents in Minneapolis is illegal. 2 separate hearings today will focus on the ongoing surge in the state, one weighing whether the Trump administration's operations are constitutional, another looking at evidence related to the killing of Alex Preddy. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman is here with me in studio. So let's take these arguments one by one. What happened in the hearing to stop the ICE surge?
So that hearing was this morning, and what Minnesota argues is that this ICE occupation in Minnesota is unconstitutional and illegal, Lindsay. They say it violates the 10th Amendment, state sovereignty. What the Trump administration argues is that this is a legal law enforcement operation. The federal government has authority here. The judge seemed very torn about how to handle this, Lindsay, whether or not this does in fact violate the 10th Amendment. She said that we are in shockingly unusual time, she said, but she didn't know if it gave her greater license to craft a remedy in the 10th Amendment. So we don't know yet what she's going to rule here. There was a lot of discussion as well about a letter from Attorney General Pam Bondi that had certain demands for Minnesota, whether the Trump administration is trying to force the state to enact certain policies by bringing ICE in. Now, the Trump administration refuted this. They say this is all about law enforcement. Minnesota said that it is essentially a ransom note. Lindsay.
The next hearing is...
Now, let me say something if those who don't know the exact what is the 10th Amendment. Is basically it makes clear that any powers that are not specifically given to the federal government nor withheld from the state are reserved to those respective states or to the people at large. So
it's about preserving evidence. What can we expect there?
That's right. So over the weekend, a judge made a decision. It's temporary, though, that the evidence related to the killing of Alex Preddy can't be altered in any way. But today there's going to be, or destroyed, because as you were talking about with Lana, the state and local police have not had access to this, Lindsay. So today's hearing is a way to litigate this in court, to give the other side a chance to respond. The judge will decide if he's going to extend that ruling.
It's a crazy times. It's crazy times we live in. But does the government, basically they're trying to go into a lawsuit of saying, does the government have the powers that's not specifically stated in the Constitution? And they're trying to say that, no, it completely goes against the 10th Amendment. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. Let's go over into the AI breakdown real quickly before we end this segment of the show. So let's get over into that and see if we missed anything about this whole, like I said, another ICE killing. So we got on January 24th, the 37-year-old intensive care nurse was shot multiple times in the back and killed by federal agents, some of whom were Border Patrol agents working alongside ICE. He was reportedly attempting to assist a fellow protester who was being detained, first of all. If the police are arresting them, stay away. Record, tell them to not fight and call a lawyer. Don't get in their way, because that just, if anything happened, if someone could be, because we do that, people can be overzealous and who think that they're too big for the job. Some of us, there are some people like that. And it might be a bad cop or a bad ICE agent. Can't say they're all perfect. No, of course not. But because they're human at the end of the day. But at the end, just stay back and let them do their jobs. And then if you think they're violating rights, call a lawyer. But let's keep going. Like they said, he was attempting to assist a fellow protester being detained. They claimed that the agents fired in self-defense after Alex, who said to have had a handgun, resisted attempting to disarm him, and claimed his family and eyewitnesses deny, stating that he was holding a phone. Some videos are definitely see his phone in his hand. Those two deaths. Let's see. Let's hear more about Alex Peretti. Go into more about Alex Peretti. So he was observed filming the federal immigration enforcement actions when the agents reportedly shoved another demonstrator. So we saw that. Bystander's video appears to show Peretti moving to help the woman who had been knocked down and pepper sprayed. As agents tackled and pinned Peretti, one or more agents fired approximately 10 shots within 5 seconds while he was on the ground. So these are the two narratives. We got the federal claim. So the DHS states that the agents fired in self-defense, that Peretti violently resisted being disarmed, and allegedly attempted to massacre law enforcement. Multiple verified videos show Peretti holding a cell phone, not a weapon, during the struggle. Footage appears to show an agent removing a gun from Peretti's holster and holding away roughly 1 second before other agents began firing. So the legal gun ownership. So Minneapolis police and Governor Tim Walz confirmed that Peretti was a lawful gun owner and had a verified state permit and no criminal arrest. So it sounds like he was able to carry his permit. Can you carry, because this is a good question that they asked, can you carry a gun and go to a protest? That's a simple thing. Is that against the law? In Minnesota, as of 2026, it is legal for an individual with a valid permit to have a handgun at a protest or demonstration in a public place. Unlike some other states, Minnesota law does not specifically prohibit firearms at public demonstrations or rallies. So that clears up it right there. So you are allowed to carry and conceal carry a firearm at a protest in Minnesota. You remember the FBI was saying that he shouldn't have had one there to begin with, but it is clearly fine in the terms of the law. So it's a crazy situation. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. Am I missing something? Have you seen a video that I haven't? It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. But let me know your thoughts and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy world, y'all, but we got to keep reviewing it together. Let's pivot over into the next topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go down to Miami. Where it looks like a Miami mother abuses her autistic 6-year-old child. So sometimes it's hard for me to understand how a mother could do this to her child. And then just goes to confirm that everyone does not need to be a mother. But let's get over into this video and see what we can learn from this whole situation. We got a few videos to look at, and then we'll go into the AI breakdown. But let's jump over into it. I always do that. Let's jump into it.
Details about a 6-year-old boy who was brutally beaten and nearly killed. While he recovers today, his mother was arrested. Her boyfriend is also under arrest for the alleged attack. Local 10's Byron Tollefson is live in West Miami-Dade with reaction from the boy's grandmother. Byron?
Well, we have been watching this story over the last several weeks. We've heard from the boy's grandmother, who has just been so upset about what has happened here. She has temporary protective custody of that child at this time, but now the boy's mother is behind bars here at TGK, and now we are hearing from her lawyer.
A mother is in custody tonight as her 6-year-old son with autism continues to recover from being severely beaten, allegedly at the hands of her boyfriend. North Miami Beach police confirming that the mom, Cynthia Hernandez, was arrested today for child neglect, failing to report child neglect, and giving false information to law enforcement. It was earlier this month when 6-year-old Mason went unconscious for 30 minutes at a North Miami Beach home as paramedics arrived. Video shows the boy being revived by a North Miami Beach police officer on scene. Police say the mom's boyfriend, 34-year-old Daniel Romero, caused bleeding and swelling in the little boy's brain, liver, kidney, and spleen lacerations, as well as breaking his shoulder. Since then, Mason has spent weeks in the ICU and has been on a ventilator. Detectives say the boyfriend, Romero, pushed the mom to falsely tell police that Mason accidentally fell off a bike, which you can hear in body camera video released by North Miami Beach police when they first showed up at the home.
Let me see him. And he fell off the bike. Hey, Papa. Hey.
The mother's attorneys say she's a victim of Romero too, and they're confident that she will be vindicated. Adding, quote, "We are extremely disappointed that the North Miami Beach Police Department has decided to arrest and press charges against a mother who is nothing more than a victim. People are not perfect, but this is a dire mistake," end quote.
Here's the question. At what point do you hold the mother responsible? Was she truly scared enough to where she couldn't tell anyone? Is it like where will she get beaten? Was she ever getting beaten? Do you think the mother should be held responsible? Let's get over into this next video and see what else they can tell us.
A mother surrendering to North Miami police after her boyfriend was charged with beating her 6-year-old son who has autism. At last check, the child is still in the hospital in critical condition. CBS News Miami's Peter Dench is your reporter at the jail in West Miami-Dade, where the mother is being held tonight.
Cynthia Hernandez has been booked into the jail after North Miami Beach police say she voluntarily turned herself in. She faces several charges, including failing to report child neglect. North Miami Beach police say there were inconsistencies in Cynthia Hernandez's statements since the night her 6-year-old autistic son Mason was severely beaten.
Is he okay? Is he breathing?
Body cam video captured police responding to her home and their efforts to revive the child. Police say he was left with bleeding on his brain, cuts to his liver and kidney, and bruises. We recently spoke with the child's grandmother.
I know that my grandson was in pain, like screaming and crying. No child should receive such brutal attacks onto himself. He had a brain bleed, he has a broken shoulder. I'm in deep sorrow and hurt because Mason has love. He has us.
Hernandez's boyfriend, Daniel Romero, was charged with aggravated child abuse, causing great bodily harm, child neglect, and providing false information to police. Now Hernandez is charged with child neglect, failure to report child neglect, and providing false statements to police. As Mason remains in the hospital, his grandmother cherishes these images from December 23rd. of Mason singing by a Christmas tree.
He's very bubbly, but he enjoys music and he loves karaoke. That is one of his fab things that him and I do a lot.
Police say the welfare of Mason is a top priority, and they urge people to call them if they have additional information that can help them. And while Mason's grandmother has spoken about the child, she told us she does not want to comment about her daughter's arrest out of respect for her legal rights. We heard from Mason's grandmother in a statement to CBS News Miami. She asked for prayers for Mason and said she hoped that charges against Romero would be upgraded to attempted murder. In West Miami-Dade, Peter Dench, CBS News.
If he beat on that child, he deserves to go to jail for the rest of his life. It's as simple as that. But the real question is, does the mother deserve to be charged? Was she truly scared? Was she just did she not attempt at all to go to find help for her son getting beaten? It's a crazy situation. Where's the father at? Because they said that's the boyfriend. Where's the father? But let's go over into this next video where she appears in court.
A mother faced a judge today on child neglect charges after her 6-year-old son was allegedly badly beaten by her boyfriend. CBS News Miami's Yvonne Taylor is your reporter live in West Miami-Dade at the jail where this mom could walk free at any moment. Yvonne.
She has not come out of jail yet, Chelsea, but I must tell you that Cynthia Hernandez's attorney alleged today that the state filed charges against his client so that she could testify against the man accused of beating the autistic child. Now, the judge made her own conclusion, and she said bond for more than $10,000 for the child's mom.
Is this Miss Cynthia Hernandez?
32-year-old Cynthia Hernandez, who turned herself in to face charges of child neglect, failure to report child neglect, and providing false statement to law enforcement, was in bond court this Saturday. A private attorney spoke on her behalf.
In Ms. Hernandez's case, the accusations are not that she directly failed or omitted to provide that child with the care. It is actually her partner, who she was living at the time, that was the one who was accused and arrested for the alleged child neglect and the child abuse.
Hernandez's boyfriend, 32-year-old Daniel.
But did she try to report it? I would like to, most mothers, I would understand that even with the risk of them getting hurt themselves, they would try to report and get them away, get their child away from the abuser. Did she make any attempt at all to at least find someone to help, or was she too afraid, or did she just not care?
Eduardo Romero was arrested on January 11th on charges of aggravated child abuse, causing great bodily harm, child neglect with great bodily harm, and providing false information to law enforcement. This case gained notoriety when police responded to a home in Northwest 179th Street for a report of a child in cardiac arrest. Police released body cam video where the 5-year-old child was seen wrapped in blanket with no detectable pulse.
This is a case, Judge, where I believe that the state attorney's office, after a couple of weeks, decided to charge Ms. Hernandez just so that they could use her as a state witness against the main perpetrator, who has already been arrested since the inception of the case.
Does she have to be charged for that to happen?
I do find that there is probable cause for each of these charges, and I'm going to be setting the standard bonds, which would be $7,500 for count 1 and $2,500 for count 2 and $500 for count 3.
And Hernandez was also instructed to stay away from the victim, which is the child. Once she comes out, she was also told she cannot carry or possess a firearm. This woman is expected to be released from this jail known as TGK sometime tonight. We're live in West Miami-Dade. Yvonne Taylor, CBS News.
It's a crazy situation, no matter how you think about it. Do you think the mother deserves? That's the main question. Do you think the mother deserves to be charged? Let's go through the AI breakdown. So they said in January, Miami mother was arrested in connection with the severe abuse of her 6-year-old autistic son. So the victim, Mason, a 6-year-old nonverbal autistic boy, was found unresponsive in cardiac arrest on January 9th. The mother turned herself in on January 23rd. She is charged with child neglect, failure to report child neglect or abuse, and providing false information to law enforcement. Hernandez's boyfriend, Daniel, 34, was arrested on January 11th and is charged with aggravated child abuse causing great bodily harm and child neglect. Daniel allegedly beat the child because he became frustrated with his behavior associated with his autism. The child suffered brain bleeding, lacerations to the liver, kidney, and spleen, a fractured arm, and multiple bruises. Police officers performed life-saving measures for about 20 minutes to revive him before he was hospitalized in critical condition. So Hernandez's attorney argues that she is just a victim of domestic violence at the hands of of her boyfriend, and only lied because he coerced her. The lawyer claimed that she was arrested primarily so the state could use her as a witness against him. So like they said, she was on bond for $10,500 in order to stay away from the son. The son is currently with the grandmother. Now, I don't know anything about, did they have to charge her just to use her as a witness? Is that normal proceedings? And I would like for there to be some kind of history of them. Well, I guess you won't see it, but do we have anything to confirm that she was actually being a victim of domestic abuse, or is she just saying that? Did her friends and family see her with bruises? At the end of the day, ladies, please, I've said this several times. Choose the father of your children carefully. I don't know. Well, this isn't the father of her children, but anyone you decide to date potentially has the potential to become a parent to your children, especially if you're living with them, constantly around them. That's like their parents. So you have to choose anyone who you're going to be seeing seriously and have them around your kid carefully, because how are they going to act? Are they your abuser? What is happening? No matter how you look at it, it's a terrible situation. A 6-year-old boy was terribly beaten. The boyfriend's charges should be upgraded. They should be upgraded and went over to attempted murder. It's a crazy situation, but let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know how you feel about it. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said. It's a crazy situation, absolutely crazy. But let's pivot over into the next topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got some new DNA tech out there, new DNA technology out there that seems to be helping and revive a 2006 disappearance. Wasn't expecting that, but hey, with more technology helps stomp out crime easier. They're able to find DNA, and as long as it's reliable, hey, you find out who the true killer was, and if they disappeared, I'm fine with them using it. But let's get over into this video and see what we can make of this whole thing. What kind of new technology is it? We got a few videos to look at, but let's jump over into it and see what we can figure out.
It has been 20 years since Jennifer Kessie vanished in Orlando, but this case isn't cold. Investigators say it's actually heating up. New DNA evidence, new technology, and renewed focus are giving her family something they haven't had in a long time: hope.
Investigators still think the grainy surveillance video could be the key to this case. But as Fox 35's Garrett Weimer explains, the focus is no longer on the person's face.
January 23rd, 2006, the last time anyone saw or heard from Jennifer Kessie. The 24-year-old went about her day like normal. But the next day was anything but.
I think everything in life changed. Everything.
The following morning, Jennifer left her Orlando condo for work and never arrived. The 24-year-old disappeared without a trace, setting off one of Central Florida's most haunting mysteries.
The luckiest criminal alive to have footage
parking her car, backing out, parking it meticulously, wiping the car down, 32 seconds, and he walks away.
Today, 20 years later, Jennifer Kessie's case remains open, and her family says they're still hoping someone, somewhere, will finally come forward.
That is crazy. They got footage of the killer parking her car and then wiping it down to get rid of fingerprints.
We're with incredible special agents right now. They're incredible. They're doing
what should have been done.
Stuff we don't even think of. Yeah. So, so we're in a good place.
With new eyes on the case and new technology, too, the Kessies are hoping for new answers. FDLE has taken over the case and says it's no longer cold. Thanks to new DNA evidence, they have new persons of interest, and they could have more. They're using AI to zoom into this piece of video. A surveillance clip showing a potential suspect walking along a fence after parking her car. But the person's face is covered by every gatepost. The person's ear, though, could be the key now.
That everything was truly done. That's possible to be done, even in today's advanced world. Like we're using AI right now. They are using AI right now. We're hoping that's the breakthrough, to be quite honest with you, both in film as well as just the volume of information that it could take in and spit out.
Now, do I think AI can pull something off? Probably. My question is, can it be held up in court? That's the main thing, because once you find a criminal, you got a suspect, unless he admits to it, and if you got to go to trial, you have to be able to use that evidence in court to lead people. This is how you found him. And they're trying to say, I'm assuming they're trying to do like an ear fingerprint, stuff that you only see on TV shows where they're going to try to match the ear to someone else just based on visual AI visuals. It's a crazy situation. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think it can be held up in court? Let's go over to this next video, see if it tells us anything.
And now our big story at 5:30. It's been 2 decades since Jennifer Kessie vanished right here in Orlando. For a lot of people, it's a name that rings a bell from the headlines years ago. But for her family and friends, the search for answers has never stopped. They have to live day to day with so many unanswered questions.
And tonight, Fox 35's Garrett Weimer is sitting down with the Kessies about life since January 24th, 2006.
A lot has changed in 20 years. In 2006, the iPhone didn't exist. Twitter didn't exist. And on January 23rd, 2006, Jennifer Kessie was still here.
I remember I was at the Staples store printing information because I was going to be presenting a seminar for nurses and social workers.
But on January 24th, all of that changed.
So it was 10:15, 10:20 in the morning, and a friend of mine called that worked with Jennifer and said, Jen didn't show up today. Is everything okay? It's unlike her.
That phone call set off days of searching that turned into months and then years.
We created Jennifer.
Our love is like
you don't walk away from that.
Jennifer Kessie would be 44 years old today. Her parents say every milestone, birthdays, holidays, even ordinary days, all a reminder of what's missing.
We have 2 granddaughters. They have helped fill the hole somewhat. But it's still, every day is a challenge.
They've learned how to live with uncertainty, but not how to accept it.
Some days, I'm completely comfortable talking about Jen. And other days, like I can't because I'm just too raw.
Jennifer's disappearance didn't just change one family, it reshaped how they see time, trust, and hope.
So for the first 10 years, we had holes in our hearts that were filled with the arrival of our first granddaughter. Not completely, but it is kind of warming that they remind us of Jen.
Oh, yeah.
and they've never met her.
Even now, the case is never far from their lives. They follow every tip, every update, every new piece of technology that could someday help.
You say you're still getting tips.
Oh, we get tips every yeah, absolutely. I got a tip yesterday.
For Jennifer's parents, moving forward doesn't mean moving on.
Finding Jennifer is the most important goal that we have.
They say,
now this is a horrible situation. Now, my question is, we're finished with this video. We'll go over to the AI breakdown. But my question is, at what point do you, because if we're being honest, at what point do you stop looking for a lie? Like, you stop thinking of them as just being alive and gone. But you actually start to think that, oh, they're possibly gone. And they died a long time ago. Because it's 20 years. Let's go over into the AI breakdown to see if they tell us anything else. So as they talked about in the disappearance of Jennifer, a case that has been cold case for 2 decades. So the new DNA evidence in the late 2025, investigators identified new DNA evidence that had significantly narrowed the pool of potential suspects. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is now using advanced genome sequencing and forensic genetic genealogy to examine material collected from original crime scene. And then they also use AI and enhanced imagery, and they're analyzing 20-year-old records and attempting to enhance a grainy surveillance footage, including the infamous video of a person of interest parking her car, walking away, whose face was previously obscured by a fence. AI does a lot of crazy things, but at the end of the day, can it hold up? That's the main question I have. Can it hold up? The case is no longer considered cold due to the developments, and the family who gained access to the full police file in 2019 following a lawsuit continues to work closely with the FDLE and private investigators to find her remains. So, okay, it looks like they are considering it, looking for her remains. What kind of, they said considered cold to the 2019. What is the 2019 lawsuit? I'm assuming they weren't giving them enough information or holding it back too much. So in 2019, the family settled a landmark civil lawsuit against the Orlando Police Department to gain full access to the investigation records of the 2006 disappearance of their daughter. This move was considered unprecedented as it effectively transitioned a major missing persons case from public law enforcement to private investigators. So the settlement granted the family more than 16,000 pages of investigation files and roughly 67 hours of video and audio footage. Previously, the OPD had refused to release them, citing the case as an active investigation. The family agreed to pay $18,000 to the city to cover the cost of reviewing, redacting, and producing the massive volume of material. So they still had to pay for it. As a part of the agreement, the OPD officially ceased leading the investigation, allowing the family private investigative team to take over the primary search effort. That's crazy. As a government agreement, the OPD officially ceased. We already seen that. So Drew and Joyce filed the lawsuit in late 2018 after becoming frustrated by the lack of progress. They argued the case had been stagnated since 2012 and that the fresh set of eyes was necessary to find their daughter. I mean, 20 years? That was so in 2012, they said they got frustrated and started going cold in 2012, stagnant in 2012. That's 6 years. And they finally filed a lawsuit another 6 years later. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. And of course, the family's going to want to do as much as they can. Paying that little money to get full access so they can hire a private detective to go over everything else. Not surprised. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know how you feel about it. Do you think that this AI imagery and we'll be able to hold them in court if that's what they use to find them and not DNA. It's a crazy situation, but we got to review the world together. We have to review the world together. Remember, drink your water, y'all. But that is it for that section. We're going to move over into the next section we're going to be talking about today. And the last one, that is, we got to go to squatters. It looks like in Maryland, we got a $2.3 million Maryland home squatter. Yes, someone's squatting in a $2.3 million home. So let's go over into it and see what we can find out. We got 2 videos to look at. It looks the first one when they first talked about it a month ago, and now she was most recently found guilty in court. But so let's get over into it and see what we can find out about this whole situation. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it.
For months, Spotlight on Maryland has been investigating incidents of alleged squatting across the state and the impact on local neighborhoods.
Tonight, Gary Collins' investigation takes him to a Washington, D.C. suburb where residents are demanding action.
Yeah, we've heard about squatters in the news. Never thought it would be next door to, where we all grew up.
James O., a man who grew up in a multi-million-dollar neighborhood in Bethesda, is one neighbor of nearly an entire block who has contacted Spotlight on Maryland to investigate an alleged squatter takeover of a $2.3 million property on Burning Tree Road. For fear of safety, O asked to only be identified by the first letter of his last name. They contacted us after seeing our ongoing investigation into the squatting epidemic in the state.
All started around 4th of July weekend, and there were the house that we're talking about was up for sale, and we heard there was a new buyer that was interested. Sounded like they were going to close around that period of time, and some new people moved in.
O said the tight-knit community quickly suspected the new neighbors were not the actual new home buyers, but suspected squatters. They made contact with the occupants, who they identified as Tamika Good and Corey Pollard.
We were aware that the sale had not closed, and the new occupants were unlawfully occupying the building.
How did this all start? How did this all happen?
The bank foreclosed on the previous owners because they were in default on their mortgage.
John, another Bethesda neighbor to the suspected squatter house, pointed us to court records on how the property initially became vacant. The man's real name is being withheld by his request for fear of his safety. According to Maryland property records, the property is currently owned by City Mortgage. Court records show a foreclosure for the property was granted in early 2025. Citigroup filed with Montgomery County District Court for Good and all the mansion's occupants to vacate, saying it has come to our attention that you have wrongfully and properly and illegally entered and are occupying the premise, adding your actions constitute a breaking and entering home invasion, and you and all occupants are wrongfully trespassing. Yet another property neighbor, court records show, filed several criminal charges against Good and Pollard, including trespassing. On December 8th, Pollard was arrested in the mansion's driveway. As a result of the arrest, Pollard is now facing extradition to Pennsylvania to face multiple luxury vehicle theft charges for allegedly stealing cars from a Lancaster dealership parking lot. Pollard has a lengthy court record, including a federal case involving transporting stolen vehicles from Pennsylvania and Delaware and possessing more than 100 grams of heroin.
Hey, y'all, what's up? It's your favorite pro se litigation coach.
Meanwhile, Good, claiming to be a financial and pro se litigation coach on social media accounts that have also appeared in court records, missed her court date this week for trespassing and burglary charges related to the Bethesda mansion.
Wanted to show you guys something real fast. I always talk about how the devil is in the details and how when you get these documents, you have to go through them with a fine-tooth comb.
This TikTok post from April advertises a rental package for $500 for a limited time, with a screenshot of what appears to be a lease welcoming letter. After speaking to the neighbors, we decided to try to make contact with the people inside the house. After knocking multiple times and hearing a dog bark, but then silence, we left a business card asking for the occupants, including Good, to contact us as soon as possible. Meanwhile, back in the neighborhood, we asked John about how he feels about the alleged squatting incident. You know, you do everything right. You pay your taxes, you pay your mortgage, At the end of the day, do you think it's unfair that others can move into your community with paying nothing?
Absolutely. I mean, it's not only unfair, it's illegal. It's immoral. You know, they need to be apprehended and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Do you think that the Maryland General Assembly should make matters of closing the loophole and squatting a priority this next session?
Absolutely, and other states and jurisdictions have done it too. I mean, you would not experience this kind of nonsense in many other jurisdictions across the United States.
We will continue to follow this alleged squatting situation closely and bring you updates.
Now there's a difference between squatting in a home because it's too cold outside, and you think you're gonna die. Then you make a career, or your history is finding homes and finding people who are renting out their homes and illegally using that against them, the squatters' rights, and just staying in their home and making them pay for the bill. There's totally difference. But let's get over into her in court.
I never imagined that this would take this long.
Spotlight on Maryland reported in December about 2 alleged squatters who took over a $2.3 million house in Bethesda.
Just make this very clear.
Tamika Good, the squatter and self-described pro se litigation coach,
You can't be doing regular people
featured the estate in a TikTok video posted on her account just 6 days ago. Good was charged last year with multiple counts of burglary, trespassing, and other crimes associated with her squatter takeover of a multi-million-dollar Bethesda home.
You cold. There's no way you put the video, a house that you're squatting in, on TikTok.
She had a scheduled court appearance on Thursday morning. In exclusive footage obtained by Spotlight on Maryland, Good can be seen in a black Porsche Cayenne leaving the property soon before 7 to make it to court. During the trial, Good argued that it was unclear which bank owned the foreclosed house because there was no clear trespassing sign. The assistant state's attorney for Montgomery County replied after hearing Good repeat herself multiple times, saying, "I know who doesn't own the property, and that's Tamika Good," adding, "This isn't some vacant, abandoned, way out of the woods house."
Hi, Miss Tamika Good. Do you believe that squatting is a crime? Why are you in a $2.5 million property, Miss Good?
After 3.5 hours of arguing her case before a judge as her own representative, we attempted to make contact during the trial's lunch break.
Get out my face.
Ma'am, why are you in a $2.5 million property?
Meanwhile, after Montgomery County Police followed Good into the garage to survey her actions, she went back to the courthouse to argue her case for another hour and a half. Judge John C. Moffitt gave remarks before he made the ruling, telling Good she had some demented thoughts to justify squatting. The prosecution replied, "This is frankly nuts." Good was found guilty on all counts of burglary and breaking and entering, and immediately sentenced to 90 days in prison.
I think the District Court of Maryland did the right thing today.
Ian Chen, a 19-year-old living with his parents in a neighboring house to the home Good occupied, brought the case before a Maryland commissioner's office because he said he wanted to take back the neighborhood from criminals.
I felt it was my civic duty to do the right thing, to file these charges, and then to ultimately bring her to justice here today.
Another witness in Good's trial, who asked not to be named for safety concerns, says he blames the state for a lack of action in what he says was terror.
There was a law that was trying to get passed to kind of streamline the process, but I think that got shot down. Make a rational, concise decision to change the rules where it differentiates a squatter from a legal tenant.
Until then, Bethesda neighbors say they will patiently wait until the next chapter of this squatter saga sees its day in court.
I was pretty scared. I mean, all of us in our neighborhood were. We have a lot of elderly folks who were afraid to even go to sleep at night because they were worried that someone like Tamika or Tamika herself would break in and be living in their house and refuse to leave.
We will continue to follow this matter.
Now, I don't know if they had to think about it that far, but yes, it is. I never understood squatting rights to where someone, especially in New York, how it gets crazy up there. It's like 30 days. They're in there and they're in there. It's hard to get them out. And even if it's your house, you own it. You can't turn off the power or anything like that. You got to keep paying the bills, which is crazy to me. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to see if we missed anything to finish it up. But it's a crazy case. So as they said, the conviction, so on January 22nd, the squatter Tamika was found guilty on all charges, including trespassing, fourth-degree burglary and related to her unauthorized occupation of the property, of that $2.3 million property. The mansion fell into foreclosure in early 2025 and was owned by the city mortgage. The unauthorized occupancy reportedly began in July 2025, just as a new buyer was scheduled to close on the house. I wonder if she was the new buyer or pretending to be the new buyer and she just moved in. The second suspect, so an associate, Corey Pollard, was also involved in the occupation and was arrested in the home driveway in December 2025 and faces extradition to Pennsylvania for unrelated luxury vehicle theft charges. So they weren't. At the end of the day, they were criminals. We got to say how it is. They were criminals. So the neighbors played a critical role in this prosecution. A 19-year-old local resident filed the criminal charges that led to the investigation and subsequent conviction. You got to do what you can, especially if you want your neighborhood to be a certain way or to not contain criminals is a better way to say it. But if it was my home, I would have done the same thing. It's people work too hard. I work too hard, especially if I'm trying to think about renting out a house and I just come in there and then people are living there for free and then I can't get them out legally and I have to continue paying the water, power, and everything that was on. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy world. The case has been a major point in discussion in Maryland regarding the current property laws, as owners were required to navigate a lengthy court process to remove individuals who entered the property without permission. It's a crazy situation no matter how you look at it. At the end of the day, please, if you're renting out a house or if you have a property that is vacant for a certain amount of time, get cameras so you can clearly see when they came and when they left, when they started moving their stuff in, because that's going to play a real big role. But if the laws don't change, it's still going to take a lot of money and time to get them out of the house, which is crazy to think of it because at the end of the day, it's your house. Absolutely crazy situation. Y'all let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know if you think I'm going off on this, if you think squatting is not that bad. But let me know your thoughts, y'all, on that and how you feel about it and if you disagree with anything I said. But that is the end of the show today, y'all. Thank you for watching like always. Thank you for tuning in now. Thank you for tuning in later. It's a crazy world, but we have to review the world together. We have to review the world together. Now, like always, the videos will be broken down so you can see the one you like. But y'all remember, if I said anything wrong, if I'm misinterpreting something, please let me talk. Let's talk about it. Send me a comment. Let's talk, discuss. If you have any videos that you want me to review, please remember to send them over to my email. It's not that hard. It's acreviewstheworld, a dot after A and a dot after the C @gmail.com. Don't forget to add Gmail. But thank you again for watching later or now, because you know what? This is the greatest afternoon show in the world. At least that's how I feel. You ain't got to feel out it. But that is how I feel. But that's it for now, y'all. Y'all already know I got to play that outro. But I'll see y'all back there tomorrow around 6 o'clock. Peace.